What did he say? He said he would put the sheep on the right side and the goats on the left. Now, which one are you? Come on, somebody. I came to tell somebody that we've got a church full of sheep and goats. And it's not the pastor's job to separate you, but there's coming a day when the great shepherd, the good shepherd, the chief shepherd of the sheep will separate the sheep from the goats. You can go ahead and play church all you want, thinking that you're fooling everybody, but you're not fooling God, because God will do the separation. He sent his angel Gabriel on the right side of the altar of incense, and the Bible declares that Zacharias was fearful. So the angel said, fear not. Yes, understand that your prayer has been heard. Now this blows my mind, church, because the angel Gabriel is a messenger from God who shows up to give Zechariah reassurance that his prayer has been heard. Do you not know when you pray from your heart, God does hear your prayers? When you pray in the spirit, God does hear your prayers. He said, fear not, your prayer has been heard. We do not know what he was praying for, but the text says that your prayer has been heard, and your wife Elizabeth will bear a son, and you shall call his name John. Theologians and scholars suggest that he was not really praying in the temple for a son because of the fact that he was well stricken with years. But theologians suggest that Zacharias, at one point in his life, that was his prayer. But while he was in the temple, he was praying for the people. He was performing his duties. He was doing what he was called to do, which is to stand in the gap. Zacharias was standing in the gap for the needs and the infirmities of somebody else. And God says, I've heard your prayers, and I'm going to cause your wife Elizabeth to bear you a son. Now some of y'all are following what I'm saying. While you're praying for somebody else, while you're helping somebody else, while you're serving for somebody else, God said, I'll give you what you really wanted all along. Have I got a witness, church? Dr. Scott, could that mean that the most effective way to pray is not to focus on yourself first? Yeah, I think that's what it means. When you start out praying for somebody else and you mean it in your heart, God will see your heart and give you the desires of your heart and turn around and bless the people too. I came to tell somebody that a lot of the blessings I received in my life is not because I asked God for it. It's because I prayed for somebody else. And what you make happen for somebody else, God will turn it around and make it happen for you. Have I got a witness, church? How you serve somebody else is how God will cause somebody to turn around and serve you. I know I'm blessed, and some folk don't realize that the Lord didn't just bless me, but he blessed me because I have sown some seeds. I have sown some tears. I have served some great pastors. So why wouldn't he make me a great pastor? I've carried bags and toted juice. I've been an armor bearer and an adjutant. I've helped the man of God get where he needs to go. I've helped to pray for people when they couldn't pray for themselves. So why wouldn't God turn around and give me the desires of my heart? You need to stop hating on God's people because you don't know their story. You don't know the times they cried, the times they prayed all night long for was somebody else. It wasn't my mama, it was somebody else's mama. But when it was time to bless my mama, God did it. And I got a witness, church. That's why you ought to be careful of whose child you write off. He might have his pants hanging down. She might have her skirt real high. But that's still somebody's child. You need to pray for that child because somebody's praying for yours. And I got a witness, church. Is there anybody here that knows when you pray about it, when you turn it over to God, when you stand in the gap, God will turn around and bless your socks off? You don't believe me? It's right here in the Word. The Bible declares that he said your prayer has been heard, and your wife Elizabeth shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name John. And John means God's gracious gift. Is there anybody here that know God's got a gift with your name on it? God's got a blessing with your name on it. God's got a healing with your name on it. God's got a miracle with your name on it. But you got to get in the temple and pray for somebody else. Tell your neighbor, you pray for me and I'll pray for you, and watch God move. Have I got a witness, church? You want to see some stuff happen? Let's touch and agree. I'll tell you what I need, you tell me what you need, and we'll go down in prayer. And the God who sees in secret will reward you in the open. Is there anybody here that has stood in the gap for somebody else, and now God is blessing you with his gracious gift of mercy and grace, goodness and mercy, merciful kindness? His compassions fail not. Morning by morning, brand new mercies I see. All I need, his hand provides, because great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Shake your neighbor's hand like you're gonna shake it all, and tell them, stand in the gap, stand in the gap. I need you, you need me. We're all a part of God's body. Stand with me, agree with me. We're all a part of God's family. When we stand in the gap, God has a way of blessing all of his people. Have I got a witness, church? Some of you still don't believe me. Ask the man named Jesus who stood in the gap, the man in the middle of two thieves on the cross. They hung him high, they stretched him wide, he hung his head, and then he died. Aren't you glad he stood in the gap? Aren't you glad he died for you? Aren't you glad he shed his blood for you? But